Greetings everyone, I am Dr. J and welcome back to our escapades in Maddening mode of Fire Emblem Engage. This video is going to be covering two battles, both of which are Paralogues where we get new units. The first of these allows us to get Jean, whom we technically earned before the prior battle we looked at, but, well, that battle doesn't take very long, so it's not as if we need to think too hard on this one. He's generally considered a better long-term investment than Fram, as while he starts out weaker relatively speaking, he can end up in a better spot long-term, and isn't reliant on being near a Lear for an extra buff. However, I'll end up favoring Fram anyway, out of familiarity from my hard mode run, so we'll see if that's a decision that works out in the end. As for the battle itself, the main objective is to whittle down a small group of corrupted that are attempting to kill civilians at the top of the map, so the race is on to get there first and to prevent anyone from dying. The more people survive, the greater the reward. To further complicate things, they put a house in the bottom right corner, so if I want all the possible resources, I'm gonna have to work for it. So, to start us out, with us not allowed to bring that many units, Clan and Alfred are set aside in favor of Saline and Louis. And since Alfred is off the table, I decided to give Sigurd to Boucheron just for grins. It also allowed him to immediately hit a couple of units with Override on turn 1, while still hiding behind Louis. So all in all, not my worst decision ever. Beyond that, the first turn is just a matter of figuring out what kind of trouble we'll have to worry about this round, as we set a Lear to draw the ire of a nearby cavalry unit and see what kind of trouble assails us and the civilians. As it turns out, the AI is going to make a beeline for any green unit in range, so Lear gets off scot-free, while Boucheron gets a chunk taken out of him by an archer, Chain Guard kicks in to protect Vander, and Luck kicks in to protect Louis. With time to assess the map, we're in good shape to deal with the enemies around us, so we can have Saline use Warp Ragnarok to start mulching the enemies gunning for the civilians, which brings one of them to the brink. Back at the main force, we've got an Archer and Axe Swinger with more on the way to the east, and an Axe Swinger and Mage to the north. To deal with the Archers safely, we can throw Louis at the problem, while putting him into range of the incoming Sword Cavalry. Etier can finish off the Archer, and Boucheron can murk the Axe Swinger, albeit while taking a metric ton of damage for his trouble. Guess we know where Fram is directing her focus this turn. Meanwhile, Lear, in order to let her help the civilians, is gonna engage in case they turn around and swing at her, while Vander keeps working on the Axe Swinger next to him. On the enemy's turn, I nearly ended up killing Vander by having him take that swing, as the mage was almost able to seal the deal, but with him having plenty of health, he'll survive to finish the guy off on our next turn. As for the rest, Lear and Saline can go all out to try and minimize the damage the civilians are receiving, and Boucheron can claim the experience from taking down the mage going after Vander, despite me selecting a less than ideal weapon for the job. And then I take one look at the mage about to deal all the damage to Louis, notice that he won't die from it so long as the cavalry units won't hurt him, so I guess I can get away with letting him help Etier take down the cavalry unit. Here's hoping I won't regret that at any point. So, after getting Vander healed up and ready to strike at the mage, right in time for Etier to knock him over, we're in a good spot for that group to deal with what remains in that section, as more corrupted approach the civilians. And since I hadn't cottoned on to the fact that they were ignoring me over civilians, I fretted for a while over putting Saline in attack range of the flyer. But since there wasn't anything useful she could do otherwise, take the risk anyway. I could even use a unique ability of Celica's called Echo, that allows you to initiate combat in extra time in exchange for a damage penalty. And in this case, it let me mulch the Axe Swinger closer to the field. So, would I end up regretting my decision? Well, as we saw in Chapter 5, the Archer went for the target it could do the most damage to and got mulched in return. The Flyer went after Lear since he could inflict break on her, but luckily for me, Jean's father decided to heal her back for the damage dealt. So, at the top of the round, we can recruit Jean, heal Saline, and chase after an Axe Swinger corrupted that's seemingly gunning for a house to the east. Since we don't have the damage to deal with it, we can resort to Fram's Obstruct Staff to hold it back. And thank God the Axe Swinger decided to just swing at the obstacle instead of someone else, as if he wanted to take Vander down, he probably could have. So, Etier takes the kill, and Vander stops by for a 1-use stat booster. Back with the civilians, Lear can bring the Engage button off cooldown, and since I didn't want to reactivate Saline's Engage just yet, she gets into melee range for the extra damage from Surge. More than that is just waiting for the enemy to act, at which point we find out the enemy Archer is a dangerous one, and between his attack and the Flyer, that's a civilian gone. I thought about whether it made sense to rewind to worry about it, but since this is still the early game, it wasn't something I was too concerned about, so let's just engage to take out the Flyer and badly damage the Archer. More than that is just setting up Etier as live bait for the mage, and putting the rest of our forces in a position to clean up the rest. There was some surprise from the mage not taking the bait, as well as the archer gunning for Jean's father, but at this point it's just a mop up. So yeah, pretty straightforward battle, huh? I could have gotten a better reward had I been willing to rewind for that civilian, and I probably could have done it if I had engaged to exploit Seraphim or had applied Sigurd to Vander to allow him to join the fray sooner. Other than that though, not really much to report for this one. Which is also why this video has more than one paralogue bundled within it, as we've got another one to see to before we head off to Brodia. This is a much trickier battle, as we simultaneously have a ticking clock in the center, with another new character tucked away among a bunch of stolen valuables. But it also starts us split up and with plenty of threats to worry about on each side. So we're gonna be in for a rough fight, even with Emblem Micaiah at our beck and call for this one. Which then means I have to take Clan briefly off the bench so that I've got magic to deal with the armored dudes on both sides. With that in mind, we've got tons of enemies to deal with there being a bunch of axe swingers in range of Alir's forces and a swordsman I can have Louis mess with on the other side. To ensure we have enough of a front line in each direction, each group will get one of the healers, a mage, and someone who can stand in the way of people. Yunaka is gonna struggle in that regard, but at least Louis more than makes up for it. In theory anyway. So, let's see if theory holds. To start us off, the group to the northeast has the easy job at the start, as Louis, with assistance from Sigurd, can quickly inflict break on the one swordsman in range, at which point Saline has an easy kill, as the rest of that group moves up. On the other side, the thief inflicting poison on his dagger strikes leads me to hesitate, but with Chain Guard to protect Vander, he can take an initial hit while Alir draws away one of the axe swingers. At which point, the thieves make a move for the chests, completely ignoring the target I chain guarded. The axe swinger deals a lot more damage to Alir than I anticipated, and now I've got a bunch of trouble approaching that group. Before we see to that, let's start once again with the units in the northeast. With Sigurd deployed onto Louis, he can afford to go haywire, thanks to there being all of one unit who can reasonably threaten him. At which point, we can have him take a steel lance, badly damage an armored dude, and not even take any damage from a lucky dodge. The rest of his group can just step up a little, with only an axe swinger in firing range with where we position Saline and Yunaka, while Etier gets a free pot shot against that very axe swinger. With the other group, we're already in trouble thanks to not having a good answer to the mage, and with two axe swingers to deal with. So, in order to thin their numbers, we're gonna need to Lodestar Rush with Marth's second engage weapon to make sure one of them dies quickly, and then Clan and Vander can double team the second one. Unfortunately for him, the enemy mage can double him, so Vander is gonna be the one going into the next round on low HP. At least Saline got a lucky dodge against the enemy gunning for her, which allows me to engage and use Warp Ragnarok to take down the thief on that side. And then that let me use the newfound maneuverability for Louis to hit with Override and knock out the enemy armored dude. Here's hoping equipping the melee range mini bow on Etier and hoping the swordsman doesn't get any ideas won't backfire on us. Shame the other side isn't going to be as exciting, as all we get to do there is let Alir murk the mage, let Fran buy us some more time against the other thief, and then hoping that Vander doesn't get broken by the swordsman above us thanks to the pillars. And that ended up not being the troublesome part, as first I forgot that Saline had Surge equipped, so she can't counterattack, and then the swordsman had enough speed to double Etier, giving me an excuse to rewind. Oh, and Vander did get broken, but that's pretty much what we'd expect, since it's only plus 30 avoid and not avoid all damage. So let's start off by seeing if Saline and Louis can get away with leaving Yunaka and Etier behind. Yunaka can survive a hit from the swordsman, so Etier gets to sit this round out, and we get to hope this works.
I want to help you.
Alright, you still take damage, but you're otherwise fine. What? Did you just dodge 280%? What is my luck? No, seriously, what is my luck? I should not be doing this well. What? Hang on. Something ain't right here. Well, I guess we're just gonna keep moving on. Yeah, apart from me misreading the percentage chance like back in Chapter 6, this battle has been shockingly merciful to me. Sure, we've got a rewind on the board from something that couldn't be dodged, but it would appear Vander decided to take a page from Saline's book earlier. So, from here, our next move is another straightforward one. Louis can run up to help with the swordsman, allowing Yunaka to take him down, and Etier can get in range of the Thunder Mage. She might not survive if she attacks first, but if the mage attacks first, then Etier can wrap that up next turn, which makes things easy there. As for the other group, Alir can set up shop with Marth's rapier in order to deal with the axe swingers, while Clan and Vander should have an easy time taking down the swordsman. Unless RNGesus comes knocking as penance for my luck earlier, but the game wouldn't be that mean, would it?
Now do me a favor. Don't miss. Okay, now I almost want to see what happens. Okay, you know what? We're gonna use this as an experimental round. I want to see what happens. Do you survive? Not only do you survive, you mulch!
Allow your soul the rest it deserves.
Good. Yeah, I know you're hurting, Etienne, but it'll be fine. Gunning for clan, huh? Okay. Not the worst idea, I suppose. At this point, I'll need to have Yunaka use Great Sacrifice or something. Oh, excellent! Maybe I could have gotten away with more over there, actually, with how that played out. Okay, now that's gonna be a problem.
Honestly, I'm kinda surprised the swordsman didn't press the advantage against Vander there. He wouldn't have killed him, but it would have been more damage than the 15 he dealt to Clan, especially since the AI usually favors inflicting break. Perhaps it decided to be merciful considering this is still an earlier level? Whatever the reason may be, enough people have taken enough of a beating that we'll want to use Great Sacrifice. So in anticipation of that, let's get people hurting. Vander goes for the axe swinger to body block and takes a bunch of damage for his troubles. Clan finishes off the swordsman before he gets any funny ideas. Alir loses the rapier but still has an armor slayer with which to mulch the armored dude. Saline busts out the iron sword so that the punchy dude can't inflict break on her. Etienne makes sure the thunder mage she suffered can't be repeated, and then Yunaka ends the discussion by hitting the Great Sacrifice button. Once that's done, the only enemy movement is the thief continuing to struggle against the obstruct staff, the punchy dude standing around being useless, and the axe swinger taking a chunk out of Alir. With time to retaliate, Louis can run up to help clear the area around the treasure chests, while Saline takes over obstruct duty from Fram, and Alir knocks down the axe swinger while the rest of our forces close in. In response, the thief, who has apparently sworn a path of non-violence, tries to go for the one open path she has, which leads her right into the clutches of our Western forces. So not even a random 1% crit is enough to save her, and we're given a chance to gather our strength, heal up, and recruit Anna after raiding the thieves' stash. We lead that effort off by sending Saline and Etienne in range of the mages while Louis gets in range of the armored dude, which we immediately regret once we realize Etienne's speed is trash and let her get doubled. Again. So we let that mage get away with full health to start with. Alir takes down the mage Saline softened up. Saline takes out the armored dude, while Vander and Etienne double team the second mage. At this point, all that remains is beating up the leader and calling it a day. Step 1, get some of our engage buttons back. And since Alir's is ready for action after all the swings she took at people, Saline and Louis get to refresh theirs. Step 2, let Louis draw the boss out, since the units flanking her don't have anything we wish to pilfer. Step 3, soften her up by having Etienne shoot from range. Step 4, tell the world how I really feel about Anna by accidentally telling her to attack someone she's just gonna die to. Step 5, let Vander and Yunaka take all the damage to continue softening her up. Step 6, let Louis take the first health bar to 0. Step 7, realize Alir can one-shot the second health bar, but let Saline take a shot with Warp Ragnarok anyway, before ending it all without even needing to Lodestar Rush. Step 8, profit. So, this battle ended up being rather ridiculous. Not quite as concentrated as the Chapter 6 battle, but we go from a relatively straightforward paralogue with Jean right into the deep end with some ridiculously good luck as far as enemy misses are concerned, but find Etienne struggling to keep up as Louis and Saline barrel through like madmen. Having us separated meant we were compelled to bring our emblems to bear earlier than otherwise, and even with those, I suspect some of my efficacy this time around were due to some well-timed lucky dodges. The end result was a battle that was definitely tougher, if only because I kept overestimating Etienne's efficacy, but still made for an interesting one to puzzle through. And with that scene too, that will be all for this video. The next time we jump in, it'll be on to Brodia, where we'll get a real archer joining our ranks, and hopefully won't have more flyers than he can handle if I wish for Etienne to linger on the bench for the rest of the game. Until then, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later.